Today we're looking at how to live stream to a client from on location for absolutely nothing. That's not true. Today we're looking at how to live stream to a client from set for free-ish. Hello Internet, my name's Scott. I'm a director and cinematographer based in London, England. Today we're looking at how to live stream to a client who's not on set. Since the pandemic began, this has increasingly become more and more common. But luckily, until last week, I had been fortunate enough to not have to deal with it. Due to current lockdown restrictions, I found myself on a minimal crew shoot with agency off-site and in various parts of the world, and a request to live stream the whole day to them. I'll share with you how I did it. We faced a few challenges on the day. First of all, as a result of coronavirus, we were allowed minimal bodies on set. So not only was I directing, but I was DPing as well. Even without the small crew, the budget was tight, so having a dedicated DIT or specialist to run the streaming wasn't an option. Also, we needed to be portable, because we had a few different setups away from the main location. It was pretty straightforward. The video feed left the camera, went into the laptop, and acted as the camera on a Zoom call, with a separate feed for sound. Then you simply go into your Zoom settings, change the camera input and the microphone input. The Zoom call was open all day and password protected for members of the agency. To do this, you're going to need a few bits. I made myself a live streaming kit. Kit's pretty straightforward. It consists of an HDMI video capture and a 5-meter long mini jack-to-jack audio cable. I'll come to that. We took it one step further because the camera needed to be flexible, so I had a wireless feed from the camera that split out into a monitor on set and into the HDMI capture. STI into the small HD, but also coming out HDMI directly into the live stream feed. And as you can see in Zoom right now, it is kicking off. Were there any issues? Because I'd pushed our producer to spend our tiny budget on a camera assistant rather than a sound op, that made me responsible for sound too. Fortunately, in this scenario, relaying sound to the agency was only crucial for our 1-hour master interview. For the rest of the day, it wasn't so important. I was shooting on the Arri Mirror, so I had a shotgun mic boomed off a C-stand feeding directly into the camera. After I'd set the levels, it was simply a case of replacing the headphone output with my 5-meter long mini jack to mini jack, feeding it into the laptop that was hosting the Zoom call. This wasn't ideal because I was unable to monitor sound at the same time as the client was listening to sound. In hindsight, an easy solution to this would have been to get a 2-way headphone jack splitter, and in an ideal world we would have had wireless sound. But this isn't an ideal world, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. If you are working with a sound op, hopefully wireless sound shouldn't be a problem. But if you're braving it solo like I did, then I've since thought of a couple of solutions that I don't understand why I didn't think of before the shoot last week. Always use the tools at your disposal. Unfortunately for me, I have a wireless lav mic set that I acquired on a documentary shoot about 4 years ago. I own the catchy named Sennheiser EW100G3 series pack, as recommended to me by a sound op at the time. I definitely recommend this, it's never steered me wrong. Although when I was looking for the price online, I struggled to find it because it's no longer available anywhere. But the new G4 model starts retailing around $600 upwards, so it might not be for everyone, especially if you're trying to do things on a budget. There are, however, more affordable options. The Rode Wireless Go system is a lot less offensively priced at around $200. That's less than 200 quid. There are a bunch of different HDMI captures out there. This one cost me around 60 quid off Amazon. I'll link it in the description below, along with my mammoth jack-to-jack cable, if that's of any interest. Audio restrictions aside, the stream worked seamlessly throughout the day, and we could have had an option for Bcam 2, just setting it up as a separate feed on the Zoom call, but it wasn't necessary, so we saved ourselves 60 quid there. One hiccup that you might face is that if you don't have a Zoom subscription, calls are only free for about 45 minutes, so you'll get cut off and have to rejoin the call. Chances are if you're working with an agency, they've probably got a subscription. Otherwise, you're looking at around $160 for the year. For the wireless setup, I went with a slightly more powerful Teradek 1000 XT, whereas normally I go with a 500. This was because in the building we were shooting in, there were tons of walls, tons of breeze blocks, so I wanted to minimize any interference. Things to improve. It would have been great to have had the streaming setup with us when we were moving between setups, in case there were any issues so we could deal with them there. Ideally on a camera cart with a block battery, tethering from a smartphone. I did also look into some laptop holder options for mounting onto a roller stand, but wasn't able to source anything in time for the shoot. Live streaming to a client via Zoom. Doesn't sound sexy, but it works. There are other options, chances are they're more expensive. Good old Google has been target advertising me quite a few solutions in the last week, and everything I've found so far turns out to be a more expensive alternative. What I love about this is that if you are anything like me and you're surrounded by cameras and cables, chances are you've already got the kit at home. And if you don't, then you can set yourself up for less than 3 figures. It's a simple solution for just a little bit of extra faff. I hope you found this helpful. I want to say thank you very much to CameraWorks and my good friend Tom Welsh for all your advice when I was trying to work it all out for myself in the first place. Make sure to subscribe for more semi-helpful tips, and interesting insider industry knowledge, such as
how to make great storyboards,
and the more self-obsessed, how I got started in the industry. See you in the next one.